Good evening. I think we can start in another 2 minutes. We'll wait for some more students to join.
Okay, that should be fine.
Sure.
Can we start, sir? Can we start? The students will join. Can we
Okay,
start?
so yeah, for me it is okay. Shall we? How about Raj Kumar sir? Shall we go?
Shall we start, sir?
Shall we start?
Okay. So, good evening, everyone present here. So, let me welcome the faculty, the students for this webinar on the topic recalibrating learning process post COVID scenario. So, once again, I welcome everyone on behalf of the placement cell. During this time, students would be attending many webinars on uh, COVID related issues. But this webinar is very, very important because through this webinar, we will be understanding what are the changes happening in the industry, how HR functions are transforming, and what is that the budding HR professionals have to do differently so that they get the initial employment. So we anticipate there are so many changes would happen in the HR function, and we have to cope with that the changing things which is happening in the HR departments. So what we learned previously may not fit into this scenario. So studying till for the final exams, preparing 1 day, 2 days before the placement sessions, that is while the company come for placement, that may not work now. The students have to do something different so that they get employment, because getting employment is going to be much more challenging. Already it is a challenge, and today's context, it has added more complexity. But if you ask me, this is going to be the end? No, there is going to be hope. There is hope, provided people understand the situation and act proactively to face those challenges. So this entire webinar will talk about that. So on behalf of Madras School of Social Work, the placement cell, I welcome our guest for the day, Dr. VP Rajkumar, who is also an alumnus of our institution, 1998 batch. He's a co-founder, Techful Innovative Solutions Private Limited, and also Director HR, Invoke HR Solutions Private Limited. He is a well-known face to our institution. He has been a tremendous ambassador for our institution. So it is a great pleasure to welcome you, sir, for this webinar function amidst your busy schedule. So we will start with the session. I request Professor Praveen, who is in charge of placement, external licensing, will give an introduction about our guest, Dr. Rajkumar. Professor Praveen.
Thank you, Vineen sir. Good evening, everybody, and I'm happy to attend the first placement talk for the would-be final years. Thanks to Indian sir for initiating and organizing the talk. Today's speaker, Dr. Rajkumar VP, has had a very long journey of experience in a variety of industries, had played key roles in various capacities, and has completed a wide range of educational qualifications. Industries he had been into include manufacturing, specialty chemicals, financial services, HR consulting, IT, ITES, shipping and logistics, oil and gas, to name a few. He had also been a part of various organizations like Hyundai, Mars Group, Ampersand Group, Reliance Capital, Marfoy Randstad, to mention a few, and the list goes on. It's very big. And Dr. Rajkumar is a specialist in areas like strategic HR management, talent management, HR process excellence, HR analytics, including post history analytics and predictive analytics models for HR. He also has entrepreneurial experience by being one of the founding members of I Solution, Yes People Tech Solutions, 4C Consulting, and Temple Innovative Solutions Private Limited. His educational qualifications include a doctorate, PhD in HR and OD from the University of Madras, and MSW from Madras School of Social Work, since he's an alumnus belonging to the 1998 batch. He has also done an MDP from IIM Trichy. His graduation is in labor laws and management, and he also holds a law degree. He has also won many awards and accolades, and the recent one being Global Topper Award for Employee Engagement. Now, this is only a gist of what his profile says, and for all of you to go through his profile, It is sent to your mail ID. Please go through it. And without taking further time, let me request our beloved alumnus and speaker for the day, Dr. Rajkumar, to take over the session. The session is yours, sir. Please.
Okay. Thank you so much, Praveen, and thank you, Professor Inian, Professor Praveen. I'm sorry I didn't mention Professor. I'm very happy to join today, and it's always a pleasure to come back to our alma mater. MSSW is what I I owe everything to, because it changed my perspective to life. It changed my focus to life. So thank you so much for having me for this session. I hope I'm audible to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Oh, good. Okay. So let me, probably I'll just share my screen. I'm not going to, give a boring lecture for this webinar. I totally understand how difficult it would be to sit in front of a screen and keep staring at it for a long time. So I will try to make it as, interesting possible. First of all, the topic given to me by Professor Inian was very, very, I would say, a very interesting, as well as a very, you know, uh, you know, uh, I would say very apt for this kind of a situation. It triggered a lot of curiosity in my mind to really see if I'm going to be the student who's sitting in my first year or second year MSSW college. What is that I'm going to look at? How is that I'm going to prepare myself for? So with that perspective, putting myself in your shoes, student shoes, I think we all talk about empathy as a word. I think that's the most required and most needed value. So keeping that in my mind, I thought, I will talk to you, all of you today. Um, I'm also part of course, I just want to mention, I'm also part of a global consulting group called GLG. I'm a senior council member for them. It's a US based organization which does global advisory and, strategic research solutions. So that's just about me. Coming back to, the topic today, I think the agenda is, talking about these areas. This is what, me, when I discussed with Professor Inian, we, looked at it and we said, okay, let's have this as our area of focus. One, to understand the changes happening in the organization. Two, to know how HR departments manage the current scenario, how technology will bring a shift in HR function, which is happening, and the COVID has brought in, much more faster change. How students must recalibrate their learning to meet the demands of employer in future. So these four aspects have been taken as the core focus area for today's session. I will try to add as much as value possible. Please feel free to ask questions in the end of the session. Keep your questions ready. Shoot out questions. Whatever I know, I will give you the answer. Whatever I don't know, I will definitely go back, get to know, and come back and give you the answer through your professors. So that's the deal with us. So let's look at it, from a perspective. I would like to set a context to this whole, webinar by sharing a small story. Um, Once upon a time, there was a king who was very curious to know how helpful people are, how good people are, how people are, looking at challenges and adversities. So in one path, he kept a huge boulder, a rock, to obstruct the path. And the villagers who are passing by, they started cursing the king or the administration. What is this? There is a huge rock, nobody is taking care of it, nobody is removing it. Many people passed by that path and the rock, but none of them took the effort to move it. One villager came, a very naive, innocent villager came. He saw the rock, and he he did all his effort to move the rock to the sides of the path, and removed that rock. And then he took his all his items, and he was about to walk. He saw a small pouch just in the place where the rock was, beneath the rock. So he took the pouch and he saw it is full of gold coins. So he was surprised. He looked around, who was that, who kept it, and then said, okay, probably, it is God's given. So he happily walked away. The moral of that story was that people always look at crisis, challenges, and problems, and we crib about it, we talk about it, we criticize others about it, government about it. But end of the day, nobody does the required thing, which is to take the effort of to handle the challenge, to remove the challenge, and then move ahead. I think when you do that, you have definitely an opportunity, a reward, a benefit from that. So that's what I'm talking about. There is a word called adversity, opportunity. Both portmanteau of that word, or a combination of that word, is called adversity. And that's what I want you to keep in your mind when you're going to go through this session. This session, some of the aspects would be very overwhelming, very threatening. Oh, market is so down, or what are these kind of challenges are happening? But some of it would be very, very promising to you. And I would like you to look at that positive aspects of things and then see how you can prepare yourself for that, right? In a real-time training session, you have audience responses coming to you. I assume in webinars, what we normally do is we assume that the responses are there, and we go ahead. So I'm going to do the same. So I hope you understood the first story I just started with. If you look at the impacts of COVID-19 in this situation, what we are going through, the biggest challenge that we have seen in the recent past, which has turned every country, every business, every vertical turned upside down. There are three aspects to this impact. If you look at organizations, there are some organizations which will have level 1 impact, which is like there's some kind of noticeable customer behavioral change, some decline in revenue, manageable disruption in operations and business continuity. So some bit of plans are missing, but it is okay. It is manageable. That's a level 1 type of organization. If you look at some organizations would have managed it, would have some impact, but still they are able to, go through this. There are organizations which will have level 2 type of impacts, which are severe downturn, right? How this COVID-19 situation dramatically has impacted PL. If you look at it, it'll have a multi-year effect on the organization, on the business. Then business unit, geographies, channels are no longer operational, uncontrollable operational disruption. So this is a severe downturn impact on business. So there are organizations, there are industry verticals which have this level of impact. Then the third level of impact, which is actually creating a chaos in that organization or the industry, where there is a liquidity crisis, severe drop in revenue, unable to manage the cash flow. There is a liquidity issue. They are not able to pay the salaries of employees. They are not able to retain employees. The future viability of the business is also a big question mark. So this is a much more deeper crisis in organization. Friends, I'm going to talk to you about how to recalibrate the learning process by giving you a perspective about a larger view about the business impact of the COVID-19, then a bit more deeper focus on HR profession, what is the impact, and bit more deep down go and talk about how as HR students or the student community, how we need to be prepared and we need to be equipped with the future challenges or future requirements. That's the way I'm going to go about. So this is a larger view from a business perspective. So, gone are those days where HR can say that, okay, I'm a support function. I only do recruitment. I manage the operations. I do the exit management. No, you need to be business embedded. You need to be business driven. You need to know the business very clearly. That's why I'm starting with business focus. Okay. So this is the kind of impacts the COVID has created. One of the predictions was that the GDP growth worldwide will come down drastically to say anywhere between 3.3% as a very positive way of looking at it to minus 2-digit percentages in a very negative way, very negative way of looking at it. That kind of impact it can create worldwide in all the sectors or most of the sectors. So that's what we are talking about from COVID-19 situation. So let's go specific about a business, an employer, and an employee. What kind of impact this COVID-19 situation is creating? If you look at it from a business perspective, there are market condition changes happening. For example, a retail business was happening in a one particular way. Now completely the market conditions have changed. In a COVID situation or even post-COVID situation, next 6 months to 1 year, the retail organization have to move towards a digitally driven way of management or operations. You need to have your the last mile delivery models, the supply chain models to be intact. You need to understand that the complete market conditions of other sectors are also changed. So that's where the market condition changes impacts have happened. Industry impacts, you take one specific industry vertical that has a tremendous amount of impact, and that has in turn has transported to or translated into an impact to other sectors as well. So that's what the industry wise impacts are happening. Customer wise, many customers have now many organizations are saying that customers are either canceling the contracts or hesitant to renew it or renegotiating the prices. Imagine a situation where the business runs where the customers, most of its customers are coming back and saying we have to renegotiate, cut the cost to 40%, 30%, 50%. The kind of impact it's going to happen in the business is huge. Sales impacts. Now, not many sectors, many industries are having sales happening. You take automobile industries, you take FMCG industries, garment industries. Many of these industries, because of lack of possibility of having operations, or the client side they are not keen to open up and operate, or the government restrictions, many reasons, but the sales have drastically impacted the business. Talk about technology. The organizations which have been in the forefront of technology adoptions are able to to an extent manage the situation, but the organizations which were in a moderate technology adoption have really started suffering and really understood the importance of moving towards digital economy. The organizations which have not at all adapted to technology solutions have really got into a mess. They understood that there is no other way other than digitalizing, going towards technology adoptions. Otherwise, you can't survive in the market. Especially the COVID has brought this, factor very, 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 imperative. Look at infrastructure for a business. Now, you would have seen an article a few days before that Kevin Care headquarters has been permanently shut down, and Mr. C.K. Ranganathan has announced that people work from home and no need for the headquarters office. It could be leased out for other organizations. So that's what organizations have started looking at, looking at their asset and infrastructure and started thinking, recalibrating how they are going to use that, or how to outsource it, or how to not to use it, so that you bring in cash flow advantage. Then look at the cash flow situation. You are not getting paid by your customers, you are not getting new sales done, salaries have to be paid, taxes have to be looked at, lot of factors, but the cash flow issues are happening in the business. Banking and investment economy is also environment is also going through a lot of changes. The kind of investment flow which is happening since the COVID started, and next 6 months to 1 year, it's going to be very tough. So these are some of the impacts on the business side. Friends, I would like you to understand that though I'm not talking anything specific with HR here in this, till this stage, it's all important for you to understand, because this is what the most important thing for an HR person, to understand the business, the market, the perspectives in terms of how any of these kind of crises can impact the business and in turn impact the people. So let's talk about employer, an organization, an employer, what kind of impact it's happening. the impact is happening in terms of people. Do you have to have the same number of people? Interestingly, in the same article, Mr. C.K. Raghunathan was talking about how they were able to have the remote workforce working from their home, but still they are able to achieve 70-80% of the productivity. There is another organization in US which said that with 40% of workforce, they are able to come with 70%, 80% productivity. Then they're literally looking at how to recalibrate the workforce, and why do we have to have the X number of employees? Can we blend the roles? Can we reorganize? Can we restructure the company so that our people cost comes down? And I would like to tell you that at this point in time, every organization in the world, small, big, startup to very large multinational, every organization, whether it is the HR function or it is the management team, they're all working on change management activities. They're all going through a big challenge of transformation process. Let's talk about the next aspect of technology impact in an employer or an organization. I already told you that, technology adoption, depending on where you are, there's a huge impact. Profit and loss, how an organization was profitable till last year and how dramatically it's changed because of the COVID-19 impact. So that is another aspect. Look at liquidity issues, revenue. I think we talked about this earlier as well. From a branding perspective, how organizations respond to this challenge crisis impact the brand of the organization. For example, there are very good organizations with great brands have now taken call of sending people off, cutting down people, downsizing, and that gives a huge impact on their brand as well. At the same time, organizations which are not able to adapt to the need of the hour are also losing their business, and it hits the brand. Look at the clientele and sales aspects impact. Operational cost, right? The earlier operational cost aspects, which are heavily dependent on depending on the industry, on the assets and the people costs and other factors, is dramatically changing now. In terms of looking at reduction from an infrastructure point of view for many sectors, but at the same time you need to spend on digital platforms, you need to spend on employee at home assets like laptops or Wi-Fi's and things like that. Companies have now started putting up policies in terms of how do you bring a policy for work at home, how do you bring policy for giving laptops and Wi-Fi connections and reimbursements for that, and how if somebody is going to exit, how are you going to recover that? There are a lot of challenges HR is going through that. Look at tax and compliance changes. There are a lot of changes and impacts are happening because of that. Just take one situation. Now we are talking about remote workforce, work at home as an important future going to be large number of workforce would be working from home. If that is the situation, how the compliance is going to be, how the policies are going to be. For example, leave management. How are you going to have a leave management system when people are working from home? How are you going to have attendance system? There are a lot of things that now organizations and HR has started looking at. That is changing the complete role of HR as well. Infrastructure is another point we spoke about. Let's talk about employee. From an employee perspective, if you look at the impact of COVID, the biggest impact is job security. Now everybody from the topmost person in the organization to the fresher, everybody is not sure about their job security. What kind of changes it will bring in? Salary impacts. Many organizations have reduced salaries, deferred salaries, reduced in terms of percentage of salaries. Bonus and variable, many organizations have taken it off. Some organizations have still continued to do it at a percentage, reduced percentage. Some of the benefits which have been provided earlier by organizations have been taken off now. Some of the new benefits have been given. For example, a laptop facility to work from home, or a Wi-Fi facility to work from home. These are all changes happening, impacts are happening. Skill demands. There's a huge change happening, was happening, but the COVID-19 has brought it much faster, and now instead of happening it few years later, it has happened and happening now, where the complete skill, demand has changed. What kind of skill required for you to be a successful HR person uh, in future or in present as well? Pre-COVID was different. Post-COVID will be completely, not completely at least large extent, it will be different. So that's the change we are talking about, the impact of COVID-19. Technology adoption again, for employee perspective, you need to be technology savvy. You can't say, I know only MS Office, I can manage it. No, you need to be more, technology, oriented, and you need to know some of the platforms for your function. HR means you need to be aware of your HR technology areas. Role changes. A lot of organizations started merging roles, making two roles into one role, taking out certain roles and completely re-modifying it. HR's role itself is changing in a big way. We'll talk about that later. Organization restructuring, as I said earlier, every organization, whether small, big, or large, extremely large, whatever, multinationals, every organization, the HR function, every function, especially the HR function, is going through a complete rehaul, complete restructuring and reorganization and recalibration. Look at safety aspect of the organization. There used to be days where safety was one person, or in an organization there will be a safety officer. That person's job is to prepare a document, a brochure, a guidebook for safety, and then put some safety process in the entry of the gate of the factory, and within the factory, all those things. But it's completely changed now. Now, when we talk safety, it's also about employee safety, employee health and well-being. So HR plays a very important role now in this space. In this last 3-4 months, one of the prime role of HR function is on the employee well-being. Every HR person was trying to connect with the employee, try to see how the person is doing, how the employee's mental and as well as physical well-being is, and try to work with them. That's what is happening. Policies and processes and systems have huge impact because of COVID. This is a model by one of the very interesting organization called Harvard, which talks about COVID-19 situation. There are 4 stages every organization goes through. This is from a people perspective. I've got the slide to talk to you about the people perspective, from the stage of confusion to business as usual in the new reality. How an organization goes through each of the stages: confusion stage, accepting and adapting stage, preparing stage, ramping up stage. So many organizations, many countries, many states, many industries are going through different stages. For example, you take confusion. There are some organizations that are still in a state of confusion, where COVID-19 is coming, has come, but is still coming. Countermeasures are happening every day. People are looking for direction and guidance. Situation occupies their mind 100%. People are acting irrationally and counterproductive. Information, people are very much looking at always news channels and mobiles, and always hungry for information. A panic situation and a complete indifference is happening on emotions. The well-being and regaining control is the #1 priority. So this situation, if you see, some of the companies, some of the industries, sectors, some of the countries, states are going through this. Look at the second stage, from confusion to accepting and adapting. Some organizations have already started accepting and adapting to the situation. Everybody is working from home. If you look at organizations like IT organizations, they've already started adapting and accepting it. Working from home is a normal, started happening. They're not sure if things are going to get better. No end in sight, but still they have started working on it. People accept the new reality as a temporary situation. They know that they will go back to their work, normal work. Life starts to feel normal again. They are looking ahead, but not beyond the status quo. New ideas and as long as it resonates with the current reality is happening. Emotion, if you look at emotion level, we will get through this. So there is a positivity in this situation. Some of the questions comes to people's mind is where are we heading, and a lot of other aspects. The third stage is for organizations is preparing, and from a people perspective, if you look at it, the infections are lowering. Some organizations have already moving towards it. Some countries have moved towards it. For example, you take countries like China, they are in this stage. They have already started preparing for the next ramp up. Their infections have come down. The end is in sight. The economic implications are clear. They've already prepared for it. They know that whether the financial meltdown is happening or recession is happening, people understand the long-term impact of this COVID-19. Their companies have already started strategizing how to go about and how to adapt again. And emotions range from motivation to fear. There is a sense of fear as well as there is a motivation happening. The fourth stage, if you look at ramping up, there are countries, there are companies, there are really, for example, there was an article about Bajaj Auto, how they captured the market and beaten China, even though China was a very large player, how in the two-wheeler auto segment they are beating China, Bajaj Auto as well as TVS. And see, those organizations have already started taking proactive measures, and they are in the process of how to ramp up. They are going towards. Look at country like New Zealand. They've completely shut down their infection rate, and they are now in the process of ramping up. Back in office, we need to adapt to the new post-COVID reality. Economic growth again is picking up, or the total collapse of economies have happened, and they're just preparing for coming back. Organizations have clear goals and directions. COVID-19 ready future. Okay, organizations are preparing for a situation that now we are ready for any chaotic situation like COVID-19. We are making them foolproof for such situations. People will be more confident and they reevaluate their private as well as work life. Emotions range from confidence to a bit of unrest as well. So that's the fourth stage, and then it moves to the business as usual stage. So what I'm trying to tell you, friends, is that every business will go through these stages. Some organizations are already in the stage 2 or stage 3 right now, or stage 1 also. And India is yet to start seeing the stage 4 organizations in that space. But some countries, some companies have already reached that stage. So there is always a hope. There is always a possibility. From a dip, you will always come up. So how you go through these stages from a people perspective is what this slide talks about. Okay. The next slide, this slide, I want to touch base with one important point actually. That's about, because of this post-COVID situation, how business have started prioritizing themselves. For example, now it's more of localization. That is going to be the buzzword. Digital is going to be given real push. Everybody will move to a digital space. You are a retail company, you are having only showrooms in different locations. Now you have to go digital. You are a organic farming company, you are only having shops, you need to go digital. You are a services company and you are only working on consulting mode, you need to be completely digital. Even counseling practices needs to be completely digital. Now telecounseling and online counseling is going to happen. So that's the kind of push. Now again, people are going to look at cash flow and cash as the king. How they're going to look at is how to keep the cash flow and the revenue intact. That's going to be focus for CFOs. And from a contract and from a business model, if you look at, companies are going to go towards variable cost models instead of fixed cost models. They're going to renegotiate with the organization. So let me connect with the HR aspect to make you to understand. If you're in HR and you have a lot of consultants working for you, outsourced organizations working for you, you are going to renegotiate. The business is going to ask you to renegotiate and work with a variable model, a success fee based model. So you need to be prepared as an HR person. You need to have the negotiation skills. You need to know how do you look at variable models and work and get that done with the contractors and outsourcing service partners. Organization will start building sensing and control towers, which means there will be crisis management team, there will be data management team, which will start looking at any possibility of any sense of any crisis or any chaos coming in future, and they'll be prepared for it. So that kind of a focus will also be there for businesses. Supply chain resilience is going to be key. Organizations which were not prepared from their last mile advantage, the supply chain advantage, have really got messed up in this situation. A lot of companies which have very good products and services, because of the supply chain models were not strong in this COVID situation, which are not digital, which did not have the last mile advantage, have really suffered in this situation. So that's going to be a focus for businesses now, whether you are into service business or into product business. Then the other important focus is building agility, being fast paced, ready to change to any kind of situation, being flexible and fast paced is going to be the future for businesses. So that's the preparatory aspects for businesses due to the COVID and post-COVID situation. They will be looking at it that way. Okay, I know I'm going a bit fast on slides and it may be a bit boring, but I would like to tell you that this is where now we need to move into HR. Like, understanding business is very critical. Now you try to link that with HR. So now what I'm going to do is to, whatever we saw the impacts on business, the aspects the businesses are going to look at, how that is going to be connected to HR is what we are going to do. So I'm going to talk about HR function. But before that, let's see the new normal. It's an upside down situation. The COVID-19 has turned everything upside down, turned it on its head. Look at this. Pre-COVID situation, everybody were looking at permanent jobs. Everybody talking about permanent jobs. Now post-COVID, it's going to be gig workforce, remote workforce, working from home. That's the future. You may ask, okay, what about manufacturing companies? What about brick and mortar companies? Even then, even those sectors will slowly start moving towards a model where they will see which are those critical roles which are required in organizations to be kept under permanent. Can we move some of the roles towards contractual or consultant based roles? Can we outsource some of these roles to a third party service provider? Can we have some people, some of the roles to work from home only on project base? They will come and work with us. Can we work with gig workforce, which is like an expert specialist work for multiple companies? The new normal, there is one more initiative or one more concept which is coming up, is collaborative workforce. How few organizations can share their employees with other organizations on a project basis. So that's collaborative work. So these are the new type of jobs which are going to emerge. I will connect these aspects to you as a student in the later part, but let's understand how this upside down has happened. Talk about classroom learning, which was the key thing all these days. Learning and development, we were always training and all these things happening. Now it's completely moving towards e-learning. It's the future. That's what everybody is going to look at. Anywhere, anytime, at your choice, you can learn. That's going to be the future. Then the organizations were partly digitalized, partly systems were there, HRMS were there, ERPs were there, but now it's going to be fully digitalized. The COVID-19 has brought this technology transformation, digital transformation very, very fast, and it has pushed us to a situation where we need to either completely digitalize and become as much as possible using technology, or we are going to find it difficult to run the business. So that's where things have changed post COVID. Look at some topics like artificial intelligence, machine learning. We used to hear this, right? Everybody talks about artificial intelligence, machine learning. Even as HR students, we're talking about it's going to come. But now post COVID, it has already reached. It has already come where a lot of organizations are now looking at how to utilize artificial intelligence and machine learning and other new next gen technologies to adapt, whether it is blockchain technology or many methods. For example, how it is related to HR. Just an example, if I want to give you, artificial intelligence is going to change the way you are going to do recruitment. Artificial intelligence is going to change the way you manage employee grievances, HR operations. Artificial intelligence is going to manage the way you are managing compliances, right? Just to name a few. Machine learning is going to completely change the way training and development departments or training and development activities were happening. I'll deal with this in detail later on. So that's where we are. And in terms of physical infrastructure, things have changed. Work from home, anywhere work is going to happen. Assets within company, that was the concept pre-COVID. Now assets outside company, companies have to start giving laptops and Wi-Fi's, and if even organizations in US, I was reading in one article that one of the company have started giving work desk for employees to be placed in their at home, right? So all these things are going to be the future. Existing skills were sufficient. That's a thought. As an HR guy, especially senior HR people or mid-level HR guys always used to say, oh, I learned MSW, I learned MBA HR, I've joined the job, I'm a manager, I'm a HR head, I'm fine, I can manage. No, you have to understand that everything is going to change. You have to either upskill yourself or reskill yourself. You need to understand that the tectonic plates of HR has completely changed, and especially COVID-19 has brought that change in a very rapid way. We'll talk about it a bit more later on skills. Current culture and trust were important. Companies were always saying that culture is important, trust aspect is important. Now culture and trust are critical. So that is good news, because that's where HR role comes in. Culture and trust is going to be a critical component for running an organization post-COVID. Let me give you another good news for you. MBA HR was always preferred by many organizations, multinationals or whatever. I may argue on it, you may argue on it. But the good news is that the future is more for MSW HR and people from the psychology background to be in the HR space. That's going to be a very interesting change, which is going to come in, where organizations are going to look at you as an important person to look at the people side, the human side, the psychology side of the the workforce. That's where you're going to have a lot of opportunities in. I'll deal with it later on in detail. Then change management was not part of HR. We always used to have some operations guys or some other production guys or quality guy handling that. Now that's going to be part of HR's role, where change management is going to be a critical component of HR. Crisis, chaos was to be avoided. That's the mantra we used to have in organization. We always say crisis or chaos, oh, we need to create situations to avoid that. But the new norm is going to be crisis, chaos to be used to thrive. How are you going to use the crisis and the chaos to thrive? And HR is going to play a very, very important role in this situation, right? Let me talk about some important aspects from an HR perspective, how the business impacts happened, how the upside down changes brought in by COVID is going to impact the HR. So I'm going to talk about one element called workforce management. Workforce management, workforce planning. You would have heard about this terminology in your studies, and you may be thinking it's part of HR. My friends, this is going to be a very, very critical and larger portion of HR's job in future. The reason is, look at the situation now, where you have an organization where permanent employees are working 80, 85%, 90%. Only 5-10% were contract employees or consultants. Now the scenario is going to change in the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 year. It's going to be 60-70% of gig workforce, people on consultant mode, interim workforce, part-time workers, work from home people, remote workforce, and the critical roles which are required to be part of the organizations are going to be the permanent roles. So this is upside down change. And that is going to create a huge change in the roles of HR. HR used to always talk about employees coming in the organization, create culture building activities, employee engagement activities, hire people for the organization, manage the talent, manage the performance, and also handle in case retention and exit management, all those things, and grievances and all. But now you're going to have workforce either they are gig workforce, they will be working for multiple companies at the same time. So how are you going to look at what kind of culture you're going to build with them? How are you going to work with work from home people? What kind of policies you're going to have? What kind of engagement you're going to have? How are you going to work with specialists who are going to work on project basis? That is a very big change. The inclusivity concept, earlier we call inclusivity and diversity. In inclusivity, we talked about gender inclusivity, differently able people inclusivity. Now it's completely different. Now it's going to be workforce inclusivity. HR and the management of an organization needs to know that you are not going to work only with permanent employees. You are going to work with people on contract, people on remote workforce, people on interim basis, people on collaborative workforce model. So you need to bring in inclusivity of workforce management in that way. So it's going to be a very challenging and interesting role that HR is going to play in the coming days. Impact on hiring practices. The next point I want to talk about. The COVID-19 situation and the digitization, impact has brought in a lot of changes now in this last 3 months and coming forward in 6 months, 1 year to, and then future onwards. You're going to see digitized recruitment practices, having digital platforms to have application tracking systems, virtual interviews, virtual onboarding. You don't require a person to travel to a location for interview. You can just do virtual interviews. Then virtual background verification as an important point. For example, employee background screening is going to be a very critical component, because now you're going to engage people who are going to work from home, who are going to remotely work, who are going to be a gig workforce. What does gig workforce mean? A gig workforce is a workforce, or a gig worker is a person who is a specialist in some area and will be working for multiple companies. There is no restrictions on how many companies or what kind of companies he can work. He can provide that expertise to multiple players. For example, I always used to talk about the philosophy of how work and workplace have changed. Historical days, work used to travel to people. For example, a goldsmith is there, or a blacksmith is there, or a carpenter is there. People come to his house or her house and give the work to them, and they do the work and then give back to the people. So people bring the work to the specialist. Then industrial revolution happened. People started going to workplaces, and people started traveling to workplace where work was there. So earlier work used to travel to people. Now people started traveling to workplace. Then now is the reverse cycle. Now work is going to come to your home. You're going to be a specialist and working for multiple organizations or multiple projects, and work will come to you. You will deliver your work wherever you are from. So that's the the life cycle which is coming back in a way. So that is one of the impact which is going to be seeing on HR. Looking at the diversity of the supply chain. Now HR's role is going to be a bit more interesting from a vendor management point of view. Earlier, commercials and vendor management was handled by somebody else, supply chain was handled by somebody else. But HR is going to play a big role in the future, where you will be getting involved with consultants and service providers and resource providers, because you're going to have different types of workforce working for your organization. You will be working with multiple service providers, outsourcing partners, third party service providers. So you need to hone your skills in that area, and this is going to be a very specialist role coming up in HR space. Look at the impacts on the learning space. Upskilling, reskilling is going to be the norm for future. In this whole change management happening in HR, I would put the learning is going to be the center of the change management, or the center of the transformation, where one of the most critical role, or the most, I would say, a larger person of the HR's role, HR as a strategic function in an organization, the larger percentage would be focused on learning space. How we are going to upskill and reskill your workforce. How we are going to bring specialists for upskilling and reskilling your workforce. How we are going to identify learning platforms where you can connect with workforce who are sitting in their home or remote basis. How are you going to bring in learning and skill development on the newer areas like mental well-being and health and safety, things like that. So this is a very important impact on HR profession, HR fraternity. Then a lot of impact is going to happen on the role itself. Look at the roles. Some of the roles are going to change and vanish. Some of the roles are going to move into a techno-functional roles. There will be techno-functional roles like HR, data scientists. There will be roles like HR, psychologist or organizational psychologists who will be doing the coaching, counseling aspects. That kind of changes. So things are going to be a bit more techno-functional rather than functional in future. Let me add a few more points before I move into skill transformation. One emphasis is on, of course, I touched upon, is on the well-being of the employees. That's a critical role. In this 3-4 months, if you look at most of the HR roles, what we're doing, so connecting back with our employees, ensuring that they are mentally, physically good, the well-being is there, and ensure that we are there at any point in time. So that's a great role HR has played. I'm going to talk about in the end that how HR has become a hero in organizations. So policies, processes, and systems are going to drastically change. Imagine the situation now. How are you going to have leave management policy? It's going to drastically change. Attendance policy is going to drastically change. People are going to work from home. How are you going to manage attendance? How are you going to manage leave? How are you going to manage, asset management? Or how are you going to manage performance management? Look at it. How are you going to assess people? So it's going to be challenging and very, very interesting phase in which HR is going to enter now or entered now already. In the next 6 months, 1 year, a lot of new innovative models will come in HR. And that's an exciting aspect, I would tell. Then you look at the culture, trust, and performance management, which I talked about. HR regulatory system, the compliances, of course, a lot of changes are happening in the wage code and the, security bills and all this, but still looking at compliance management and ethics management is going to be a completely new overhaul. A lot of digitized, solution will come, and HR will play an important role in this area. Look at, POSH Act, Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act, how it is going to happen in a virtual environment where employees are virtually connected in workforce, and some kind of complaint comes to you. How are you going to handle it? What is the policy for that? How you are going to manage your ethics issues when people are going to be employed on gig workforce are going to be employed, or part-time workforce are going to be employed? What kind of ethics and business ethics and norms are going to be there? So these are all interesting challenges that HR is going to go through or is already going through. Then let's talk about the next important thing, which is skill transformation. I hope you can see the slide. McKinsey has come up with this interesting, model of how leaders in the organization, especially HR leaders and the management leaders, have to look at this situation, that the post-COVID and in COVID situation. What are those things that we need to focus on? There are 4 aspects they are talking about. One, expand the ability to operate in a fully digital environment. So you need to build technical awareness and skills in employees. As an HR, as a leader, you need to understand that that's going to be a very critical role for you. Develop cognitive skills to ensure the critical players can respond to the need for redesign and innovation. So how are you going to build critical thinking, project management skills, and how do you create an atmosphere for problem solving, creativity? These are going to be some of the areas of focus for HR. So you need to bring in such initiatives to build these skills and build these aspects in the organization, to thrive or to at least come up from this crisis. Strengthen social and emotional skills to ensure effective collaboration. How are you going to build these skills in leaders? How HR is going to exhibit these skills, social skills and emotional skills, to exhibit empathy, exhibit understanding and humaneness. It's going to be very important area of focus for HR. The 4th is adaptability and resilience skills. How you are going to build these in the employees, build the self-awareness and self-confidence in people. How do you motivate employees? It's going to be very challenging. You need to do it virtually because many of the sectors, many of the organizations, people are working from home. So how HR is going to connect virtually and keep that motivation level, keep the self-confidence, keep that awareness level in the employee. So these are the areas where the skill sets have to be looked at, for leaders as well as the HR leaders. That's what McKinsey talks about. So this is a very interesting, transformation happening from a role perspective for leaders as well as HR. So I'm going to talk about now that, how these transformation, what we saw, the impacts on HR has resulted in some of the other aspects. I'm going to talk to you something very positive now. You may be feeling, oh, challenges, that's a word I've been using. But what is that for HR profession to be proud about? How doctors, paramedical staffs, nurses, or police force, army, and all the frontline people, the cleaners, corporation employees, how everybody are called as frontline employees, and we salute them. We should salute HR, who are the frontline people in organizations, who are the heroes in the organizations. In this last 3-4 months time, HR has been in the forefront in every organization. Now the organization, the CEOs, the managing directors, the board have realized that how important HR people are and HR profession is. They understood the importance and the strategic importance of HR. That's why I say HR are the heroes in organizations. HR, we used to use some, a nice cartoon picture, HR, like you open it, superhero, Superman opening and showing HR here. That's a real picture now we need to use it for. HR has become the real heroes in organization. So that's the first point I would like to start with in, the positives on the side. Okay. But let's also understand that this is not going to go back to the normal situation pre-COVID. There is no going back. The COVID situation has disrupted many things and is going to stay. That is the big reset we are talking about. Remote workforce is going to be real. It's going to be big. More and more organizations, more and more sectors are going to go through this to save costs, to utilize technology. Remote workforce is going to play an important role. So you as an HR student should start understanding what's happening in HR, how they are managing remote workforce. What is that I should pick up? What skills are required? Do I know any digital platforms in HR so that I can understand workforce management through that? These are all some questions you need to ask. But it's going to be the situation. So when you talk about remote workforce, for businesses to understand this whole scenario, try to equip themselves and then stabilize, it will take few years. And these few years, HR is going to be the center of the table in the organization, sitting in the center seat in the board and play a very, very critical role. So that's a good news for you. Those who are passing out this year, next year, you are going to be really seeing a very, very interesting HR phase and where HR is going to play a powerful role. Then the personal safety, health, well-being of an employee is going to be critical. So as an MSW HR, or when I say MSW, MA, HRM, everybody, but you have the slight extra advantage or the extra edge over a typical MBA HR because you get exposed to certain areas of the humaneness, which is like values, which is like empathy, which is like social, understanding, so the value systems are much more stronger for us to play a very strong role as HR. So that's an advantage. So going digital is imperative. So you as an HR person already knew that digitalization is going to be the future. So start preparing for it. That's a good news for you. If you start picking up that skill already, you have a better future. Caring, listening, empathy are going to be a very, very, very important skill requirement for hiring. There will be questions will be asked to you in the interviews now on that, okay, what did you do? How did you have any example of, telling us how do you exhibited your empathy, or given a situation like this, how will you, behave, or how will you manage, show your caring and, listening and empathy, aspects of your behavior. These are all certain things organizations are going to start looking at. The so-called softer areas of HR, earlier people used to say, are going to be the most wanted areas in HR, right? So I hope all are awake, huh? Then I would like to also talk about an interesting thing happening, which is the distributed authority. Gone are those days where centralized authority system will be in their organization. Now, the HR also and the organization also will move through a distributed authority management, because people are going to work from home. People are going to have remote workforce, contractual workforce, third-party workforce. So, a lot of distributed authority model. So, HR needs to understand that the generalist HR roles are going to get minimized and vanish. It's going to be moved towards a specialized roles, in the HR, function in the profession. Another important thing is for HR for the next at least few years is doing more with less. That's going to be a very critical, expectation from organizations, from the HR profession. What do you mean by doing more with less? Is cost constraints, difficulties, everything. So HR will be constrained with a lot of aspects. So you cannot go and get a new, you cannot invest on new things, new initiatives. Whatever you have already, you need to start recycling it, relooking at it, recalibrating it, and see how I can utilize. For example, one of the organization, Novartis, had an application tracking system, a recruitment, a software they had. And in this situation, what they did is they wanted to use a e-learning platform for their employees within. So instead of going and picking up a e-learning tool and things like that, they use their application tracking system and converted that into an e-learning platform, sharing details with employees, asking them to do some upskilling courses and things like that. And it worked out very well. So that's the kind of innovation required when you talk about do more with less. So that's an important area I would like to talk about. Okay. Now, as students, these are the questions that may come to your mind. This could be some of the questions, probably. How is my industry and my job affected by COVID-19? How can I address skill gaps I have to meet and the realities and requirements of post-COVID-19 job market? How do I find successfully and acquire emerging job opportunities? How do I stay focused and energized during this period? Okay, the fourth question, I will try to answer that, but it's, you need to find out. I think you are in a wonderful institution like MSSW, where there will be a lot of people who could help you, guide you on how do you stay focused and energized. One example is this, even this session is that for to help you to focus and get energized in terms of your preparation. Let's talk about these questions. I would like to say that as an industry, we saw what kind of impact is going to happen, and as a individual, what kind of skill gaps or what kind of need is there for you. So some of the points I would like to talk to you is, use this time to get to know yourself better. You as an individual, do a bit of self introspection, do a SWOT analysis, understand your strengths and weaknesses, because the future roles are going to be very, very different. So which one will fit into you? How do you want to channelize for that? For example, you are a tech savvy guy, then do some analytics course, AI course, try to equip yourselves in that space so that you can get into HR data scientist kind of roles, HR tech roles. If you are a very people savvy person and you are more, inclined towards solving issues or empathetic and things like that, do courses on counseling and empathetic listening and get certifications on that areas, and try to move yourself towards that so that your career path can go into that direction. So you need to use this time to understand yourself as an individual, do SWOT analysis, try to see how I can channelize myself in the areas which I desire to grow into. Second, understand the market. Keep up with the things happening in the market, keep your information intact, keep studying different sectors, different markets, keep seeing how market is evolving, how the challenges are being faced and handled. This is going to be very important. Third, understand the future roles of HR. What is going to be the future of HR? Now we are talking about robotics. We are talking about automation. We are talking about digitization, which is happening. So how HR is going to play a role? There is an interesting thing. I'm sure you would have seen the movie Robo. Our robots are going to, work uh, as equal as humans in organization, which is in Japan. It's already happening in many areas. So that what is that kind of future? Things are going to happen in HR, and you need to prepare for it. Attend guest lectures, attend courses, read magazines, get to know things happening, connect with podcasts and things like that to understand the future of HR. Next point I would like to share is hone your workplace skills, which means the traditional HR is going to vanish. So how are you going to equip yourself in your workplace? For example, how I'm going to equip myself in understanding supply chain management principles, understanding negotiation skills, so that I can be there where I play a role of managing the vendors, managing the suppliers of workforce, and effectively working with them. How I'm going to equip myself on the HR technology, how I'm going to equip myself on the other areas like the new performance management space. That's the way you need to hone your workplace skills. Expand your digital and tech knowledge. Don't restrict yourself. For example, the future where HR is not going to be alone, standalone. HR is going to be a very, very closely embedded organization with the IT organization. HR will see a very, very close collaboration with IT, and there will be a partial roles where people will be having HR come technology responsibilities. Okay, techno-functional roles. So you need to expand your digital and technology knowledge. For example, you can't say I only know HRMS, I know SAP, I know. You need to know what is what is Slack application means, how Google Meets works, how Zoom Pro platform works. All these are going to be tools for managing workforce. So you need to be aware of that. The most important point, what I would like to tell you, is that the mindset change for you. You need to understand that just doing your course, scoring marks, and just preparing in the routine way till whatever happening till even last year will not help you this year onwards. You need to understand that things have changed, rapidly changing. Please equip yourself. You need to set your mind to be prepared for the new normal. The new normal is going to come, and that's the future. You have to be prepared for that. Okay, some 21st century skills. We all, I'm sure you would have seen it or heard about it. There are 4 C's: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication. Information literacy, media literacy, technology literacy. Flexibility and adaptability, leadership and responsibility, initiative and self-direction, social and cross-cultural interaction. These are supposed to be the 21st century skills. Everybody, every student, every professional required to equip themselves on this. But I'm going to add few things to that. Crisis management. Do some certification course on crisis management. This is going to be something where people will start looking at, oh, this guy has a training and certification on crisis management. That's good. HR digital. Do you know digital platforms? Have you certified in some digital platform? That's going to be helpful. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and many other next gen technologies like blockchain system or IoT. You may wonder, oh, all these words or all these skills are for technology people. Why should I know? But my friends, you need to understand, for you to be playing the HR role with a techno-functional flavor, you need to understand the basics of, okay, what is AI and how it is going to impact my work in HR. For example, AI, how can it impact my work as an employee engagement person? Yes, because AI, artificial intelligence driven data solutions will provide you which employee is highly engaged, which employee is less engaged, where you need to have interventions, whom to recruit, whom not to recruit, which candidate would be more suitable for this position or not. Everything is going to get impacted by AI. Training function is going to be drastically impacted by machine learning, because Machine learning is going to give you automized learning solutions where you don't have to train people. The machine itself will learn and do the job, right? Many jobs are going to change. Machine learning is going to be completely used in learning and development space. So you need to know the basics of machine learning, how it is used for your field. Deep learning, that's another space where we talk about building skills, upskilling people, reskilling people. This is going to be a very important initiative. IoT, Internet of Things, how IoT is going to impact on the employee safety in organizations, right? Blockchain methodology, how blockchain methodology can help you in your compensation benefits practices. Blockchain, one point in time across the globe, it can do the changes in the system. So how it's going to help you in HR operation, that those are the things you are going to pick it up. That's very important. HR analytics is very important, you know already. Project management program, PMP certifications, PMP skills, lean management skills, change management skills. These are all some value adds that if you have in your profile, it's going to give an added advantage for your career prospects. I would suggest, because future is going to be project-based approach. HR is going to manage project-based teams. HR itself will work on a project-based method. Many of you have to have a mindset understanding that you are not going to get completely permanent jobs. You are going to work, you yourself are going to get jobs which are on a consulting mode or a gig workforce mode. So you need to have those skills like project management skills. Counseling. We may think, okay, in MSW, medical, psychiatric, or family and child welfare, these guys do it. We don't really require it. No, it's going to be very critical skill for HR function. It's going to be something which would be required for you to scale up in HR career as well, because the leadership levels in HR are expected to be more empathetic, more towards coaching and counseling people, especially leaders. That's a very important skill you need to pick up. Do some certification course on this area. Empathy, I already spoke about it quite a lot. Well-being and health safety is very important. Do some courses, understand what is the new thing you can pick it up from that. Remote workforce management, try to see whether you can find out some remote workforce management software. Can you do a course on that? Can you understand the basics of it? Because this is going to be a platform you're going to use quite a lot. Gone are those days where traditional HR platforms will be used by HR department. Now, remote workforce management is going to be integral part of HRMS, or rather that's going to be the main platform for managing workforce. Regulatory and compliances, a lot of changes are happening. Please do some courses, get to know it as well. I'm going to give you an interesting slide. These are the future HR roles. As HR team, future team members and future of HR, you need to know these kind of designations is what you're going to get in another 2, 3 years, 5 years, or even in next year onwards. Chief Talent Network Officer, no more CHROs. Empathy Coach, HR Data Scientist, Workforce Inclusivity Champion. You'll be working with permanent people, contract people, gig workforce, remote workforce, work from home. That's the kind of role. Well-being specialist, mental and physical well-being of employees, or of humans. Human experience strategist. Employee experience is the new norm which was happening for the last 1 or 2 years, but now it's been transformed into human experience, because you may be working with different types of humans. They may not be employees for you. Even the word employee engagement, employee experience, employee relations is going to completely change. Many people are going to work for you, work for in your organization, are not going to be your employee. They may be working on behalf of another company, or working as a freelance consultant or a gig worker. They may not be called as your employee, but they are part of your workforce. That's the future. Human experience strategist. Employee personal counsel. HR techno-functional consultant. Alternate talent acquisition leader. No more talent acquisition leader. What kind of alternative ideas or sources you will bring for talent acquisition? Collaborative workforce executive. Are you going to work with different companies and source workforce from them and work on it? This is a new model which is coming up. Collaborative workforce, where companies share their employees with each other. Crisis manager. HR process excellence and design thinker. So these are some of the new terminologies or new titles which are going to come, new kind of roles which are going to come, for which friends you are going to be employed into. So to get into this kind of roles, you need to know that the JD is going to be different, job description. The requirements are going to be different. So you need to add those skills which will take you to those, kind of roles. Just to talk about one important thing, I want to talk to you as a student. You need to understand there are 4 circles of importance for you in learning. One, the core circle, or the main circle, the closest circle is subject knowledge. How good are you on your subjects? It's going to play an important role, because you're going to write the exams, score the exams, attend the interview. Some questions will be on your subject knowledge. That's very important. The second circle is about domain knowledge. You as a domain person, HR is your domain. Okay, so what kind of knowledge you have on the HR domain? Are you able to understand the latest changes happening and what is required in this domain? The third circle of preparation for you for get a good job, to go to the job market, is business knowledge. How well you understand the business. Whether you take few sectors which you are interested in. Okay, I want to be an IT guy. I want to be a manufacturing sector person. I want to be in FMCG. Understand the business of that sector. Understand how these sectors, the business process works. How from the start to end, what is the business process? You will have that knowledge, will be a big added advantage in your interviews, in your selection process. The fourth, but the last but not the least, the most important for me, is the general knowledge, is the common sense. End of the day, to me, HR is all about common sense and people sensitivity. So how are you going to use your general knowledge, which is what is happening, the day-to-day affairs happening, the changes happening, the impacts happening, and the basic simple things, which are required, to have common sense. That's also very important for you, because many a times the situational awareness questions, the simulation questions, the scenario based questions are all on that space. How do you react to that situation? What kind of general knowledge you have to, to interpret that and take a decision? So these 4 circles is something I want you to remember. Subject knowledge will help you to score marks in your exams and get a good grade. Domain knowledge will help you to go to the interviews, campus interviews or interviews, position yourself well. Business knowledge will help you to have an extra advantage among the other candidates in the interviews, get selected, and also in your career to help you to grow better and faster than others. Business knowledge will help you. The fourth one, if you have to thrive in your function, general knowledge is another area. You have to keep constantly updating yourself, learning yourself. It's very critical. So this is the circle of learning. I would like to share it to you. I would like to tell one interesting story. I'm sure you would have heard about Birbal and Akbar stories. Once Birbal was very angry, and he threw Birbal. Akbar was very angry and he threw Birbal out of the court. So Birbal also went away from the kingdom. He went to a village and stayed there. After some time, Akbar was so much missing Birbal, he realized that without Birbal things will not be good. So he wanted to find out where Birbal is, because Birbal did not inform him where he went. So he sends a message to all the villagers saying that whoever gives me one pot of wit is the intelligent jokes, or um, uh, of course intelligent jokes, and something funny, fun, jokes, who can give it a pot of wit, I'm going to give them a pot of gold, whichever village gives it. So this message goes to all the villages. Everybody finds it. Wow, how can you give a pot of wit? Because wit is not an object to put it in a pot. The message reaches the village where Birbal lives. People don't know Birbal. This person was Birbal. He was normally living there, and the villagers were talking about this king's request. And then Birbal says, "Okay, don't worry, I will handle it. I will do it." The villagers are asking him, "Are you sure?" He said, "No, don't worry, I will take care." So what he does is he takes a pot and he puts the watermelon, a small watermelon inside it, without breaking the roots of it. So the watermelon grows within the pot. Once it reaches a particular right size within the pot, he cuts the roots and takes out the pot. The watermelon is grown inside the pot. So he gives it to the villagers and asks them to send it to the king. So the pot comes to king, and Akbar looks at it and says, okay, what is this? He says, this is the pot of wheat. But the condition is you should not break the pot, or you should not cut the watermelon. You have to take it out without doing these two. So the king was surprised, and he immediately remembered that this kind of interesting or creative thought can only come from Birbal. So he directly goes to the village and brings Birbal to the court. The moral of the story is, suddenly some situation will come, or a challenge will come which you are not prepared of, which you are completely unaware of. But that's where the beauty of creativity and the beauty of preparedness is. If you are really focused to face the challenge, you will come up with some interesting creative idea to manage the situation. So I would say the challenges come. COVID-19 has brought in huge challenge. The technology advancements have brought huge challenge. How are we going to manage that? That is going to be the future. There's another aspect that I'm going to also tell you, is that please join as much as HR forums. Please subscribe to as much as magazines, which is not just, of course, HR and then business magazines. Please try to talk to as much as your seniors and alumni and whoever in the fraternity and industry. Pick up as much as learning. I would suggest every one of you should identify one mentor who is from the same field. If you're picking up HR, or whatever you're looking at as your future, and connect with that mentor. Get your questions and your doubts clarified with them. I'm sure everybody is interested to support a student. At least most of them, or 99% of the people. So please reach out to them. Have a personal mentor who could help you to groom yourself. That would be a very, very important thing to do. You please understand, even the slightest hope can make the mankind or the humankind to come up in life. There's a huge hope is there for us in this situation, where HR is going to sit in the center of the board, in the center of the boardroom. HR is going to play a very critical role, very, very important role. HR is business, because the next 2-3 years, every organization is going to go through challenges, ups and downs, confusions, reorganization in terms of how are they going to manage the workforce transformations, technology transformation. It is highly people driven. So it's going to be very important for you to understand that there's a huge opportunity is there when you're stepping out of the college. Only thing which is required is, how are you equipped yourselves to face the new normal, and how are you prepared for that new normal? Are you having the required skills, additional skills, in addition to your curriculum that you are studying, to get into the job or compete with the other people in the market and get a fantastic opportunity? That's in your hand. Okay, that's it from me, from a presentation perspective, or from my talk. I'm ready to questions from your side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, students, if you have any questions, you can ask the guest.
Sir, questions are in the chat box. I'll read. And
Sure.
once I finish questions in the chat box, and then we'll open the window, sir.
That will be good. Yeah.
Just a minute. Okay, sir. Question from Swarna Hari. Sir, can you please explain the impact of COVID on the fresh graduates who have been placed before lockdown and the graduates who are going to graduate in the upcoming year?
Sure, Swarnahari, thanks for the question. It's a very good question. Why I'm saying very good is because you have asked, two specific type of people. One, who are already placed. Second, who are preparing to be placed, right? Or, or preparing for the career. Whatever we saw, you need to understand that those who have already placed are already, gone into the situation. Now they need to quickly gear up, ensure that they don't become redundant, or they get into a situation where everything seems to be big and different. They are not prepared for it. So it's a very, very important time for them to quickly equip themselves, understand which organization they are placed, which industry and business the organization is, what kind of changes that particular industry and the organization is going through, and what are those skills they have to equip. That is what they need to do. For example, if they're part of an IT organization, the IT organization is already having the lot of these changes, workforce changes and technology changes. Then this person has to quickly learn those aspects to equip himself or herself for that job. If a person is joining a manufacturing organization, you need to understand what kind of challenges are there in that sector and equip themselves accordingly. What kind of skills you need to equip? You've already been trained on certain skills like the soft skills areas like empathy or listening, or um, the other skills, soft skills areas, right? So those are all already there with you, counseling and things like that. If you want to hone those skills or equip those skills much better, do some course, prepare yourself, and you'll be ready for it. The best part about somebody who has already joined is that they also need to evaluate their situation. Some organization may reorganize and there could be problems for that role holder. So how are you going to make yourself indispensable? It's but I'm just saying, how are you going to showcase that you are a great talent and they don't want to dump you or cut your role? So you need to show the agility and flexibility to learn, as well as be there in front, so that they understand that this is a great talent. So those who have already placed, they need to understand uh, their job, their organization, the business sector they are in, and prepare themselves immediately as quick as possible, and position themselves, market themselves in such a way that their role doesn't or will not get into any problem. For the students who are preparing for it, I've already spoken to you. What I told you is pick up areas, pick up skills which required to be, required for you, which you like to, pick it up. Then do those certification courses, attend seminars, meet people, try to equip yourself on those areas. Not only focus on your subject, but also focus on your domain, your business, and your, general knowledge, so that you are there when there is an opportunity coming up. You are already prepared for it. That's what I would like to suggest you.
Okay. Our next question is from Solomon. Sir, I am interested in AI and ML, but confused on where to start. Can you please suggest me to where to start off?
Sure. What's his name?
Solomon, sir.
Solomon. Okay. Hi, Solomon. I'm not able to see you, but I assume that you are there. Solomon, I would say it's a good thought that you're thinking about AI and ML. AI and ML are some say, or rather some of the parts which are happening in the digital space in HR. Where do you start is go through some programs which are happening digitally, online courses. There are free courses are there. For example, a lot of the global universities like Harvard, Stanford, the Ivy League colleges have brought in open courses which are free of cost, where basics of artificial intelligence, basics of machine learnings are being taught. So you can just do that. Don't worry that you are an HR person. Why should I understand a bit of more of technology? Just try to understand in the simplest way what is AI and how it is impacting HR. There are some organizations which are bringing in some certification courses about how AI or ML or DL or whatever these concepts are impacting HR in what way. There are certain function specific certifications courses that you can do that. So what kind of courses are there? There are many institutions are there. I don't want to name few. Maybe you can pick up these Ivy League college open universities, or you can pick up AI HR Academy. A lot of organizations or academies which are trying to do that. So you can do that as well. And the second part to it is that you be part of groups, subscribe magazines, or go take a free podcast on this techno-functional area of AI for HR, ML for HR, these kind of topics. Whenever you see, Google it, find out, try to learn that, do self-learning so that it helps you, and reach out to people. You can write to me at any time, any time about anything on AI or ML or DL or any areas on technology. You want any support, feel free to just write to me. I will give you information. If possible, we can talk as well. I'll send you whatever I can so that you can equip yourself. Right, Solomon?
Yes, sir. Okay. Question from Vaishali Kalyan. Work from home has become the new normal, because of which social skills of employees are curtailed. How is the HR are going to deal with this issue, sir?
I'm sorry again. What's the name?
Vaishali Kalyan.
Vaishali. Okay. Hi, Vaishali. I'm not saying that it is going to be completely curtailed. Yes, social skills are going to have a different flavor now. Okay. We used to, as humans, we believe in socializing physically. It is not going to be social distancing. It's going to be physical distancing. You can still continue to socialize. For example, I'm just proudly saying, okay, my wife had her birthday recently. I organized what else you can do you have been locked in home. Bombay, it's a red hot situation. What I did, I organized a virtual party, virtual birthday invite I sent her to all her friends, connected with her. Some 20-30 people came. It was a surprise to her. And it went on to 1 or 2 hours, and they were connecting with each other. So why I'm saying this as an example is that you need to find creative ways to connect with people, which is only physical distancing, but socially you can still connect and relate with people and talk to people, look at them, and engage with them. So from a social skills point of view, it is not going to vanish. It's going to slightly change. You're going to use digital technology. For example, now I'm addressing you, but I don't see you, right? I'm seeing the screen and addressing it. That's the difficulty. But this changes are having some impact. I totally agree with that element, that how we are going to figure out this, how we are going to come out of this is going to be a challenge. Now we are talking about, virtual connect and, socializing through virtually, but is it a real socializing like a physical get together? No, it cannot replace that, but it has its own effect. So I would say HR and organizations have to find new norms to bring in such socializing platforms. For example, one is using video online, to using social media groups, chatting platforms. Now how effectively you can use it. These are some of the norms, and I hope in few months things will improve and people start meeting each other, at least with physical distancing. There things will slightly become much more better. I think that's the way we are looking at. But to everyone, for you and me, everyone, we are only speculating, we are only talking, this can happen, but we have to wait and see how it's going to turn out to be.
Okay, sir. Okay. Next question from Vignesh Yu. This pandemic has pushed organization to follow work from home model, and is gaining a lot of momentum these days.
Yeah.
But HR profession being highly sociable, how our line of work can be benefited from this model?
I think, Vignesh, I think my whole session was trying to connect you how HR profession is going to handle this, this element of, the social aspect of the HR, right? Rather, I would say, Vignesh, it has picked up the momentum. It has become much more intense. This last 3-4 months, most of the HR guys were personally connecting with the employees. If you take a pre-COVID situation, you take a general situation, no, what HR people were doing, we say that okay, HR is a function which connects people. We are for people. We motivate them. But please understand, in real life, 80% of your time is always behind the desk in your HR department or in your seat, right? Some roles you interact with people more, but most of the roles are behind the system. In this COVID situation, actually it turned out to be the other way, where every HR person started talking to every individual, every employee, most of the employees, connecting them personally, understanding their well-being, talking to them, giving them, listening, clarifying their grievances. So actually this COVID situation, the work at home concept has brought HR more, I would say HR's role has become more intense in terms of, connecting with the employees. So, it's not, I won't say socializing, but connecting with the employees have become much intense. So that way it has only made HR more stronger and made HR in forefront. HR is the key function, and HR is the key resource in organization. HR people are the heroes in organization where they are connecting and holding the employees. So COVID situation has brought good things only from this perspective. I hope I answered your question.
Okay, sir. And next question is Parvatha. Sir, I would like to know what impact COVID-19 is going to have on the package of HR roles in the upcoming years.
Good question, Parvada. I appreciate it. You want complete truth or partial truth or lie? Lie would be no change. It will be much better. Everything would be fantastic. Partial truth would be, there could be, some change, but not very, very big change, things like that. But the real truth is there will be some impact, both from a positive angle, from a negative angle. What kind of impact? I'll tell you. There would be some roles where it will be better paid than the pre-COVID situation, because it will require some specific type of talent and specific skill sets. For example, you have you already have a analytics certification program, and you're very good in that space, and you're applying and for a HR tech job or a data scientist job, and you get selected. That would be a bit more better than the normal stage. Now people will pay you extra premium to hire you. There will be some roles where the cost would come down. They don't want to keep you in a permanent role. They will say, okay, we'll hire you, but we'll put you in Morphi's role, Randstad's role, Team Leads, or Quizcarb role, or third party roles like that. Cost may come down, or they may hire you. They may say the situation is very bad. We may not be able to pay you that much. The campuses, many even IIMs, IITs are seeing it. Many offers, campus offers have been pulled out, and some offers they're renegotiating, and dates are deferred. So yes, this year there is a lot of chance that some offers can be dropped, or some offers can be renegotiated on the cost. Some offers can be deferred on dates. There's quite a possibility, and that's where I would tell you should not lose your hope. You should prepare yourself better so that you get highly paid. There is always an opportunity in adversity. As I started, when I started, I said this word, adversity. You look at the adversity, find out where you can focus so that you will be of a demand, so that you get paid doubly or triply than the normal days. That is what you need to focus on. But in general, there will be an impact this year. We hope that 2021 things will pick up. things will pick up like anything. You know, always you remember when there is a chaos situation happen or a dip happens, the bounce back will be much better. The bounce back will be 100, 200, 300 percentage growth will happen. There was one recent research also, I remember seeing it, where every dip happened, every downwards happened in the market, the bounce back was in in more than 100 percentage, 150, 200, 300% bounce back. We hope that 2021 onwards things will start bouncing back, opportunities will really pick up, and things will go better. And that time you should be completely ready to ride the wave. That's what my advice would be, my suggestion would be.
Okay, sir. Question from P. Srinivasan. Sir, can you please enlighten the opportunity for MSW HR students in government and public sector?
There is always an opportunity, friend. Government, public sectors, you will not have big, or drastic changes like private sector is going through. Even then, there will be some impact, some changes. But I would put it this way, that there is always opportunities for if you are aiming for government sectors. Rather, if you're really aiming for government sectors, pick up as much as information possible of which public sector company, which government department is hiring, what kind of role it is hiring, and keep equipped yourself on that. Keep applying for it. I don't have any statistics to say that government sector will have this much of opportunities for MSW. But let me say this one, as I started saying, this is going to be the time for HR with a people touch, HR with a psychology and humane touch. People will prefer to hire more of MSWs and people with psychology background rather than just an MBA kind of roles, right? So the value adds are your the soft skills or the value skills, like your empathy, your social understanding, and these are all things. So definitely there'll be huge opportunity for MSW. Government sectors, I'm not very sure. Government always hires, but that's not it. So you have to be watchful of where hiring is happening, and you stand a big chance than other MBA HRs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question from Ruben. Sir, fast forwarding to a situation where almost 90% of the workforce will work from home. How different will employee engagement be?
Okay. The word itself is going to change, my friend. Okay. It will not be called as employee engagement, because your workforce is going to work from home, and then organizations will move from a full-time employee mode to more of a gig workforce or a contractual or project-based workforce mode, right? Because end of the day, when you have a resource in that way itself, you are going to get deliverables. You're going to get the results. So why should you employ them permanently? So percentage of permanent workforce will come down drastically. Critical roles will. So people working from home, the opportunity for them is, if you're a specialist, you can work for a company with a high paid cost from home itself, or you can work for multiple companies and make more money as well because of your skills. So the word employee engagement itself is going to change from employee engagement to workforce engagement. So you as an HR guy will be engaging different types of workforce: permanent employees, working from home employees, workforce, gig workforce, contractual workforce. So the workforce engagement will now be slightly different from employee engagement. Okay, employee engagement, you have set of policies. Many companies have will follow that. Some companies are following, specialized or focused employee engagement. Some companies follow one size fits all employee engagement. Now it's going to be different. Now it's going to be hyper personalization. Let me use this word called hyper personalization. It's going to be super personalized. Each individual, each workforce working from home, each person gig worker will have to be treated differently, will have to be engaged differently. So HR's role is going to be much more intense and much more interesting, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, next question is from Sonal. Sir, you have mentioned about counseling and coaching gaining prominence in the HR field. How can we build in the career in this field?
See, this is the counseling, coaching are going to be very critical. See, end of the day, if you look at it, in other 5-10 years, when you are going to be a 5 years, 10 years experience, professional, the situation will be completely different, where you will have completely automated environments, robotics will come, there will be a lot of roles will be redundant, new skills would have emerged and things like that, where if you see, the only aspect towards HR which will be unchanged, or rather more wanted, would be the softer areas, the humane areas, the counseling, the listening and coaching. These are all skills which will not be replaced by automation. That's why these areas are going to gain a lot of momentum, right? So what you need to do is to do some courses. MSW is the epicenter of such learnings and courses, and there are many online courses are available, people are available. Connect with your mentors who can teach and train you on these areas. Exhibit your skills in these areas, because it's going to be really an important, whether you are going to be an HR person or a organization psychologist, or uh, any role you play, these skills are going to be a very, very important skills. This will be a differentiator skills from other people who are going to compete for HR roles. So equip yourself, do courses, connect with magazines, connect with different forums, and I think the future is yours. Yeah.
Okay. I think a question from chat box is over. Now, students, you can unmute yourselves and ask questions. I think Vinodini, you raised your hand. You can unmute yourself and ask question.
Yes, Vinodini, go ahead.
Vinodini, are you there? Okay. If not Vinodini, anyone else? Anyone who wants to ask question, you can raise, or you can unmute yourself. I enable unmute. Yeah, you can ask yourselves by unmuting yourselves. Okay, she unfortunately raised her hand. I think that's it, sir. I think.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm happy. Less questions, less trouble. But I see. I would like to tell to all the students that feel free anytime you want to reach me. I will give my email ID, my contact details to the professors. If anything specific, you can always reach out to me, or you can connect with my LinkedIn as well. And I will be very happy to support students. And it's a very interesting stage, and you are at the right place and doing the right course. But only thing is, you need to be prepared for the new norm. Don't expect you to always, like earlier, go to a IT company, manufacturing, a full-time job, settle down. Things would be slightly different. You need to be prepared for it and equip yourself, for the new norms, so that you can thrive in the situation. So wish you all the best, friends, and anything else, just let me know. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Actually, it's my duty. Okay, after this program, to propose my word of thanks. It's a formal word of thanks. Okay, sir. First of all, I would like to thank our chief guest, Dr. Rajkumar, sir, Director HR, Inverse HR Solution Private Limited, co-founder, Triple Innovative Solutions, for enlightening us by your wealth of knowledge and expertise. Sir, we understand that industry is in a topsy-turvy, and how they need to prepare. Of course, he also highlighted the how the HR is going to be center place, and how they are going to prepare. Of course, he also mentioned about the word well-being, which is really touchy. Okay, sir. And also you gave insights about how the students should be prepared for the future, and how they need to upskill their skill. And also you highlighted the domain knowledge, various domain knowledges where the students have to equip themselves. Thank you, sir. It's really inspiring and admiring, and really, I personally captivated by your presentation. I'm sure, sir, students will take all your inputs and implement in their career in future. And next to in absentia, I have to thank our principal, Dr. Raja Samuel, and special thanks to Praveen sir, who gave the introduction about you, and also a special mention about Professor Inian, who constantly working for developing the students, and also due to the in this situation also he took initiative and organized this program. Thank you, sir. I also thank all the HODs and other faculty members, and last but not least, I also thank all the students for for participating in this event. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Hemakumar. Thank you, Inian. Thank you, Praveen, sir.
sir.
All professors, thank you so much.
Thanks.
And all the best, my dear friends.
Thanks
Thank you,
a lot.
sir.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot, sir. Bye. Bye.